spend some more time on overturning Chevron. We're going to have another 10 or 15 minutes left in this program. If you have, so you do still have some time to call in. If you would like, 844-899-TVLR is the phone number, 844-899-8857. Going to talk a little bit more about Chevron, though, because it does affect, it affects the NLRB as well, and the administration of labor law. Littler Mendelsohn has a website that sometimes they put out, little blog posts and stuff. And back in April, they released a blog post that, kind of explained some of their thoughts about what overturning Chevron would mean for labor law. And the title of that is what would overruling Chevron mean for labor and employment law? And what would overruling Chevron mean for labor and employment law? That's on Littler Mendelsohn's website. And, some of they don't really say just a whole lot. There are there's nothing specific that they say, but just generally what they would expect coming out. And I think this would probably make sense. And it's not good, right? It's not good. Littler Mendelsohn, famous, bad union busting law firm, right? These are bad guys. But basically their anticipation is that it is going to make agencies like the National Labor Relations Board and the Department of Labor more hesitant as they try to promulgate new rules to adapt their interpretation of labor laws to the current environment. And that's bad. That's bad for working people. But that does seem like a reasonable kind of anticipation of what would be happening. I will say, though, that there is a bright spot, specifically as it relates to the administration of the National Labor Relations Act. I spoke with some attorneys for the National Labor Relations Board about what they felt like it would mean for them. And they say that, while obviously overturning Chevron is a big blow to administrative law generally, and particularly as it relates to agencies perhaps like the EEOC or the EPA, the National Labor Relations Board, on the other hand, has a lot of good case law on the books that predate Chevron, and the National Labor Relations Act is much more clear in the law itself that the judiciary is to defer to the board. Right, so there's much more, so the statute of the National Labor Relations Act is much more clear than, say, the, Equal Employment Opportunity Act is about deferring to the EEOC, right? The National Labor Relations Act is very clear about deferring to the National Labor Relations Board. And then on top of that very clear statute, there is a lot of good case law from the Supreme Court prior to Chevron that reiterates the judicial system's deference to the National Labor Relations Board in matters of adjudicating matters related to the National Labor Relations Act. So there is some amount of protection there. Now, of course, one of the attorneys that I spoke to did say that, in reality, it's possible that this does not mean that much because SCOTUS has ignored Chevron and said that NLRB was not an expert when it wanted to, such as Epic Systems being a recent example. So the agency does have, they have lost one layer of protection, and, SCOTUS is already going to do basically kind of whatever they want, but the NLRB is still going to have a fighting chance in close cases in lower courts, or at least so one NLRB attorney that I spoke to anticipates. So hopefully that is at least one bright spot among the federal agencies as it relates to the overturning of Chevron. The National Labor Relations Board does not seem to be as exposed as some of these other agencies. So hopefully he's right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. Because I know that was a big question a lot of union folks had about this.
Right.
Was, how specifically could it impact the Labor Relations Board? So yeah, I hope that's the case, but it's certainly concerning about just, I don't know, the administrative state in general.
Yeah.
It's very, it reminds me about our conversation this morning with Chandra and talking about the Southern economic model and how much this country is really becoming the South.
Right.
in terms of lax regulation, regressive tax structures, dismantling the welfare state, the safety net, the administrative state, any forms of state power that is supposed to, protect regular people or hold powerful people accountable. Anything of that nature is certainly under threat. So, to those of you who are outside the South tuning in, I can just say buckle up, because it seems like you're getting a lot more exposure to what it's like to live down here and experience this kind of terrible governance for yourself.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.